Welcome to the Dark Outsider channel. This is another new story that I've been working on, and this is part 1. I hope you enjoy it. I'm 38 years old, and I have to sleep with the lights on in my bedroom. It wasn't always this way. I didn't sleep with the lights on in my bedroom since I was just a kid. It actually happened recently. I'm pretty sure it's always going to be this way. It's actually a bit different for all of us that were there. None of us will ever be the same, I don't think. It's been about 6 months, 6 long months since it happened. And I'm only writing this all out now because I can't sleep, and something told me I should sit down and write it all out. Who knows? Maybe it'll help. But I doubt it. For the last 18 years, a few of my friends and I have gone camping. And it started off an easy way to get us together, get loaded up on beers and any other bottles of alcohol we could get our hands on back then, and just get away for the weekend. We were all under 21 that first year, but as the following year approached, we decided to do it again until it became an annual tradition. We used to camp at this old site that was about an hour or so away. But over the last several years, the owners decided to sell it. Developers came in, turned it into a hotel and a bunch of shops and stores. It sucks. We actually loved that place. For the past 4 or 5 years, we decided to try to find some new locations, somewhere off the beaten path. And we usually let our friend Duke find the spot. Alan Dukin is his actual name, but Duke was the nickname that his father gave him, which actually had been handed down from when Mr. Dukin was a kid, and it stuck with him, and we still call him Duke to this day. And Duke was always good at locating cool places to explore. When we were kids, he'd be the one that was always trying to convince us to venture further into the woods, or suggest we break into the abandoned house on Woodley Street in town. Now that we're in our 30s, we obviously couldn't do such things. Not that we should have back then either, but oh well. Well, this year, he sent out a group text to all of us. He said he found a new spot to go, but he wanted to talk to us about it first. He asked if we could all meet up for drinks around 7:30 that night. What seemed like a fun idea at the time, something a bit different than what we've done for the last 17 years, should have raised a red flag. It didn't. And as I sit here, writing this out, I'm reminded of the old chestnut. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the day we left, we decided to carpool to the location. I drove my truck, packed most of the gear in it, as well as my friend Brent Stenton. He was another childhood friend. Duke, Timmy Riley, and Sal Amancia drove in Duke's new Jeep Wrangler. I was a bit surprised that he wanted to actually drive his brand new Jeep, but he joked about it earlier as we were packing up. Why wouldn't I want to bring a Jeep to a brand new site location? It's what it's made for, bro. He kicked the tire with his foot, patting the fender like it was a sleeping dog. It's time to get her a bit dirty. No better time than the present, right? About 3 hours later, we were approaching the last of the small towns that we had begun to see less frequently the more we drove north. I heard the familiar chime of a text message come through, and a second later I heard Brent's. He looked at his phone as I continued to drive behind Duke's Jeep. "It's Duke," he said after he read it. "He wants to stop at the next gas station, fuel up, and grab a few things for the site. What do you think?" "Yeah, it sounds good to me, but let him know to pick a place with an actual store in it this time. The last time there was nothing but a place to get oil and wiper fluid." "Huh, will do. Damn, I forgot all about that place," Brent smiled. "That place didn't even have a vending machine, and the bathroom was a fucking disaster. I still can't get that image out of my mind." Another chime from a text. Brent looked at his phone again. He said this place is a full-service gas station with a small Dunkin' Donuts inside, too. Sweet, I actually could go for some coffee. Yeah, me too. Tell him we're right behind him. 20 minutes later, we were all gassed up along with a half a dozen bag full of chips, salsa, candy, and a whole bunch of other shit. Jesus, man, look at all this shit. If Mona was here, she'd be yelling at me to stop eating so much, Sal said as he ripped open a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos, shoving several into his fat mouth. Duke snuck up behind him, grabbed a few of the Doritos himself, slapped Sal on the shoulder, and said, "What happens camping stays with the camp." As we were about to pull out of the parking lot, Brent smacked his hand on my dashboard. "Damn it, man. I forgot to get the coffees. You still want one?" "Yeah, I think so. Go run in and get them. I'll let Duke and them know that we'll meet up with them at the entrance. It's only a few miles up the road from here anyways." "All right, cool. Just do me a favor and don't leave me stranded here, man." I replied, "Don't worry, I won't. I need the coffee too bad. I'm afraid I'll fall asleep too fast tonight and you assholes are drawing a whole bunch of dicks all over my face." Brent laughed. "I'll make sure it won't happen, Captain. I'll be back." I flashed my high beams at Duke. He saw them, made a small U-turn, and pulled up alongside me. "What's up?" he asked. "Brent's grabbing us some coffee. Why don't you guys head up there and we'll meet you out front?" "You want us to wait?" Tim's voice yelled from the back seat of the Jeep. "No, we're good. Go check out the place. We'll be up about 5-10 minutes after you guys get there." "Sounds good. See you in a few," Duke replied. "But yeah, save us some food. Don't let Sal finish it all up." Sal, who was sitting up in the front passenger seat, gave me the finger and shouted, "Yeah, blow me, man. I'll leave you some fucking crumbs." Duke nodded his head and laughed, then signaled he was leaving. With a few kicked up rocks from his tires, he left the lot, and I waited for Brent to come back outside. As I watched Duke's Jeep leave, an older sedan pulled up to the pumps behind me. The man driving it went inside the store. A few moments later, Brent walked out with 2 cups of coffee and a small white bag in his hand. He entered the truck a bit quicker than he normally does. He looked back at the store and asked if I saw if the guy had just walked in. "Yeah, he pulled in a minute ago or so. Why?" "The dude creeped me out. He walked up behind me. I was waiting for the girl to make your cup of coffee. He handed me the coffee as he said this. I turned, I nodded my head to him and smiled. The guy seemed normal enough. So I grinned. So? I asked him. So then he asks me if I'm with you and points out to your truck. I tell him I am. Then he asks me where we're headed to. Well, did you tell him? Yeah, but Brent trails off and looks back at the shop. He's spinning his cup of coffee in between his thumb and forefinger. I tell him that we're heading up to Alpine Mountain to camp for a few nights. Brent, you didn't tell him exactly where, did you? You don't know if this guy's some fucking weirdo or something, I asked. Dude, I don't even know where we're going up there. I smirk. Yeah, that's true. So what, that's it? Brent looks around. No, man. As soon as I tell him I'm going to Alpine Mountain, the girl making the coffee looks up at me, but she notices that I see her, so she looks back down real quick. It's like she was... I don't know. So anyways, he asked me if we've ever been up there before. And as I'm listening to Brent tell me all this, I begin to start feeling a little bit of anxiety creeping up my back. It's starting to kind of sound like a movie script, but it's really happening. Well, did she say anything to you? No. She went back to making the coffees up. But I tell the guy that we haven't been up there yet, but our friends are up there now and we're meeting them. Then he just stared at me for a second. Didn't say anything. It was like he was studying me or what I just told him or something. I shifted at my seat looking at Brent, then looked up at the rear view. I still saw the man inside. Jesus, bro. What the hell? That's weird. Yeah, but that's not it, man, Brent replied. What do you mean? I said. So the girl, she puts the lids on the coffees, hands me the bag and smiles at me, but the smile, it wasn't genuine, you know? Like she smiled at me when I ordered. She was cute, nice looking girl, but the way she smiled at me now, it was more like she wanted me the hell out of there. So I turned back around and the guy asked me how long the rest of us have been up there already. Now this takes me by surprise. What? I asked Brent. Brent looks at me and he's nodding his head. He realizes too that it's bizarre. Dude, I hope you just left at that point. This is just fucking weird. Yeah, I pretty much did. I told him I didn't know. Told him a few hours? I don't know why. I guess I just didn't want him to know that they had just left. So he mumbles, a few hours, eh? So anyway, I start walking away from him, but he grabs my arm, looks me right in the eyes. Brent swallows hard. Looks me in the eye and says, beware of the Moorlock. I said, okay, thanks, and walked out. I looked at Brent. Beware of the Moorlock? What the hell does that mean? No clue, but I never wanted to get back to your truck so bad my entire life. And you know me, bro. I don't get freaked out and all that, but this, it made my skin crawl. I mean, like shivers, man, like hair on the back of my neck kind of shit. Let's just get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see him when he comes back out. Yeah, no, good call. So I start pulling out of the lot. I check the rearview mirror again. The man is still inside, his car still sitting motionless at the gas pump. Chris. Brent's looking straight ahead. Let's just keep this between us, all right? I take a quick glance over at Brent. His eyes are still staring directly at the road in front of us. Good call, I agree. 20 minutes later, we were pulling up behind the rest of the guys. It was about 4:30, 5 o'clock that afternoon, and the Jeep was easy to find in the massive parking lot because not a single other vehicle was in sight. The first night in the woods of Alpine Mountain was a good time. Quite honestly, it was the best time that we had camping together in the last several years. We had become proficient over the last decade at getting our full site set up and ready to enjoy the festivities of each night. So within about 30 minutes or so of getting all set up, we had the campfire roaring. Soon after that, over a dozen bottles of beers were already empty, and about a half a bottle of scotch was almost gone. We laughed, we joked, we made fun of each other, the same way we have for almost half of our lives, some of us for more. We talked about our families, the kids, work, and all the bullshit that comes in between it all. And after a few hours of swigging down a bit too much of the hot stuff, Sal walks over to his tent and grabs a box of some sort. It was red. Mahogany, perhaps. You guys are gonna shit when you see what's in here. Sal opens it up, and inside are a half a dozen Cuban cigars. Holy hell, man, where the hell did you get these? I grabbed one from his hand, holding it under my nose, inhaling that sweet aroma. A guy I work with, let's just leave it at that. He winks. Anyone else? Duke and Tim both took one as well, but Brent declined. I'll save it for the last night, he said. Tim walked over to the spot where all the gear was, grabbed the long, nozzled grill lighter we used for starting the fire, and was just about to light a cigar. Dude, are you mental? You never, ever light a cigar with a butane lighter like that, especially a fucking Cuban, Sal hollered to him. Tim let the button go. The flame disappeared. Well, enlighten me then. What am I supposed to use? Here, use this. Duke reached into the fire and grabbed a branch that was about 2 feet long, with a nice orange ember and a small flame at the end. He carefully put it to the end of his Cuban cigar, spun it around a few times as he inhaled, getting a nice burn around all the edges in the center. Just like that. He then gave the branch over to Sal. We laid out on the ground, staring up at the night sky. Every few moments a wisp of smoke blew over our heads. Sometimes it was from the fire. Sometimes it was from someone exhaling a puff of their cigar. It was a pleasant and cool night. The conversations from earlier had died down. We laid out mostly in silence, enjoying the sounds of the fire, the crackling of dry timber combusting in the heat, crickets and frogs made their nightly symphony. I felt my eyes get heavy more than once as I gazed at the reflection of the fire dancing within the branches of the spruce and oak trees that surrounded us. It was almost hypnotizing watching it while hearing all the natural forest sounds around us. That and being in the company of some of my best friends on a weekend trip that I personally looked forward to every year since they began. It was nice. Maybe too nice. As the saying goes, all good things must come to an end. I just never expected it to end the way it did the following night and day.